Most of us think we can tell when someone hates us. We expect it to be obvious: cold stares, harsh words, or blatant disrespect. But what if the person who wishes you the most harm is the very one who smiles, warmly acts supportive, and pretends to be your biggest fan? What if behind every friendly gesture lies a dark intention, not just to hurt your reputation, but to remove you from their life entirely? This isn't about paranoia. It's about awareness. There are people who don't simply dislike you. They want you destroyed, silenced, erased. And the most dangerous among them will never show their hand until it's too late. The mask they wear is convincing, and most victims miss the early warnings because the signs are subtle, calculated, and deeply psychological. That's why in this video, we're going to expose 5 chilling signs that reveal when a person's hatred has crossed the line into something far more sinister. These are not wild theories or random guesses. They are behaviors rooted in patterns observed by psychologists and survivors alike. Recognizing them could be the difference between staying safe or walking blindly into a trap. So stay sharp, pay close attention, because once you understand these signs, you'll start seeing the truth that others overlook. And trust me, after today, you'll never ignore the warning signals again. If you're ready to uncover the hidden threats that could be lurking in plain sight, hit that subscribe button now, and let's begin. Sign 1. The silent observer. Let's begin with one of the most disturbing and easily ignored signs that someone in your life may harbor intentions far darker than simple dislike. I call this type of person the quiet tracker. They're not your average passive follower on social media, or the chatty neighbor who thrives on small-town gossip. No, what we're dealing with here is far more methodical, intentional, and dangerous. A quiet tracker doesn't casually watch you. They systematically monitor you. They note your daily patterns, learn your habits, and absorb tiny details about your life with unnerving precision. It's not curiosity. It's calculated information gathering that borders on strategic surveillance. And because they operate in the background with subtlety, most people don't recognize what's happening until the damage is already done. Picture this: someone you barely speak to somehow knows your exact coffee order. They seem to appear at the same park you frequent, the same gym, the same stores, all at times that perfectly overlap with your routine. At first, it feels like coincidence, but the longer it goes on, the more impossible it is to ignore. What makes this behavior so sinister is how easily it slips under our radar. We've been conditioned to dismiss patterns that feel too subtle as paranoia. And that hesitation is exactly what these individuals count on. They use your doubt as a weapon, ensuring you second-guess your instincts, while they continue to gather intelligence unnoticed. There was a case I once heard about a man named Daniel. After ending a business partnership that turned sour, he began noticing his former associate showing up at his regular lunch spots at the dog park where he walked his pet, even at random industry events he hadn't publicly announced attending. It didn't feel threatening at first. There were no words exchanged, no open hostility, just a presence, a pattern. But when Daniel changed routines, new cafes, different gym, different schedule, the same associate kept resurfacing. The message was clear. This wasn't chance. This was controlled observation with a purpose. Stoic thinkers like Marcus Aurelius cautioned that it's a mistake to assume what looks harmless truly is. True wisdom, according to the Stoics, lies in maintaining clarity of mind, observing reality as it is, not as we hope it to be. When a person repeatedly shows up in your life without a valid reason, especially after you've altered your routines, it's no accident. It's a signal. In our modern, hyper-connected world, tracking doesn't require old-fashioned surveillance vans. All it takes is access to your digital footprint, your social media updates, mutual connections, and public routines. And the most dangerous individuals aren't those who shout their hatred in public. They're the ones who quietly record your every move while wearing a convincing mask of friendliness. This isn't about fear, it's about awareness. The Stoics taught that true strength begins with clear-eyed observation and is followed by wise action. So if you notice the same person frequently reappearing in your life without a good explanation, don't brush it off. Investigate, reflect, and most importantly, trust your intuition. That uneasy feeling you get isn't overthinking. It's wisdom speaking. Listen, because sometimes the greatest danger comes not from an enemy who confronts you, but from one who studies you, in silence, waiting for the moment you let your guard down. Sign 2. The saboteur strategy. Here's a chilling truth revealed by modern psychology. When people hear a false statement about someone even after that lie is exposed, their perception of the person remains subtly tainted. That's how deeply suggestion seeps into the human mind. And it's this very principle that makes what I call the saboteur strategy so devastating. When someone harbors hatred that goes beyond personal anger, when their goal isn't just to hurt you emotionally, but to dismantle your life, they target more than you. They go after your entire network of relationships. This is not harmless rumor-mongering or childish gossip. It is a calculated, methodical campaign to destroy your reputation, isolate you, and leave you vulnerable. The most dangerous saboteurs don't make loud accusations. They work in silence, operating in the shadows, dropping hints in the right ears at precisely chosen moments. To your employer, they quietly suggest that you can't be trusted. To your friends, they imply that you've changed, that you've become toxic, selfish, or unstable. These aren't overt lies shouted in public. They are whispered suggestions, subtle seeds of doubt planted carefully over time. And here's the most insidious part. Because each situation seems small and disconnected, no one sees the larger pattern. Not even you. You begin to wonder why relationships are suddenly strained, why colleagues seem colder, why friends become distant. And as this isolation grows, self-doubt creeps in. You start to question yourself, your reality, your worth. That is exactly what the saboteur intends. This is no impulsive behavior. It is premeditated social sabotage. These individuals construct conflicts behind the scenes, hoping to provoke reactions from you that will then serve as evidence of the lies they've planted. They manipulate the narrative so that you appear defensive, erratic, or paranoid, all while they present themselves as calm, concerned, even compassionate observers. Their ultimate goal is not just to ruin your reputation, but to sever your connections to ensure that when their most vicious attack comes, you will face it alone. From a Stoic perspective, this form of attack is particularly dangerous because it erodes the very clarity of mind and inner strength that Stoicism urges us to cultivate. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." But when caught in a saboteur's web, the obstacle is no ordinary challenge. It is a creeping, invisible fog that clouds your judgment and tempts you to react emotionally to defend yourself in ways that only feed the suspicions already circulating. That is why self-awareness is your first and most vital line of defense. Do not chase every rumor. Do not waste your energy trying to correct every misunderstanding. Instead, Ground yourself in what you know to be true. Maintain your composure. And above all, act strategically. Keep records of communications. Document key interactions. Choose your confidants with care. The more intentional you are, the harder it becomes for a saboteur to twist the narrative. Remember what both Stoic wisdom and ancient teachings affirm: character is revealed through the steady passage of time, not in moments of chaos. While some may be temporarily misled, the truth, like the soul, endures. And when someone is always lurking on the edges of your conflicts, never fully visible, but never absent, it is time to stop excusing their behavior. You are not simply dealing with a manipulator. You are confronting a deliberate architect of destruction. And the surest way to protect yourself is to refuse to play by their rules. Sign 3. The false friend facade. Now we arrive at one of the darkest and most insidious signs that someone's intentions towards you go far beyond simple dislike: the false friend facade. This tactic is as ancient as human conflict itself, yet remains one of the most difficult to detect, precisely because it plays upon our deepest need for connection and trust. From a young age, we're taught that friendliness is a virtue, that those who show warmth and interest in us are likely to mean well. But here's where the danger begins: when an acquaintance who once kept their distance suddenly shifts into the role of an eager, attentive friend, without any natural history of closeness or shared emotional bond. Alarm bells should start ringing, not invitations to trust. What you may interpret as genuine care is often a calculated act. These individuals are not interested in friendship. They're interested in access. The goal isn't emotional connection, it's information. They will subtly begin to probe your life, asking pointed questions about your routines, your family dynamics, your vulnerabilities, even your deepest wounds. But they're not seeking to help you heal. They're collecting ammunition: every detail, another potential lever to manipulate or destabilize you later. Often, they will insert themselves more and more deeply into your world. They'll build rapport with your closest friends or family members. They may offer assistance with work, personal errands, or favors that subtly tie you to them. But make no mistake, beneath the helpful gestures lies a systematic effort to monitor and control. Every secret you reveal becomes another data point in their growing arsenal. What makes this tactic especially dangerous is how comforting it feels in the beginning. Everyone longs to be understood, to be valued, to be heard. And that is exactly what this type of person exploits. They will mirror your language, echo your values, even share vulnerable stories of their own to encourage reciprocal trust. But this is no genuine friendship. It's a performance, an expertly crafted mask designed to disarm you while they map your emotional and personal landscape with clinical precision. From a Stoic perspective, this strategy is chilling. Seneca once wrote that a true friend is someone with whom you can entrust your very soul. But he also warned that such trust must be earned over time, not freely given to any smiling face that appears at the right moment. The Stoics taught the practice of wise restraint, knowing when to open your heart and when to safeguard it. So if someone suddenly appears in your life with a level of interest that feels disproportionately intense or overly personal, especially when no clear bond or shared experience has warranted such closeness, you must pause. Reflect. What do they truly want? Genuine friendships evolve, gradually built on consistent trust and mutual respect. False alliances, on the other hand, advance quickly, fueled by hidden motives. And here's the harsh truth: those who wish to do you the most harm will often come disguised as the friendliest of faces. They don't simply crave your loyalty, they hunger for your weaknesses. Once they've gathered enough, they know exactly where and how to strike. The Stoics remind us to live with warmth and kindness, but also with discernment. Protect your privacy as fiercely as your peace. Not everyone who shows you compassion has your best interests at heart. And when darkness cloaks itself in the illusion of friendship, what you're seeing isn't genuine connection. It's calculated camouflage. Sign 4, escalating aggression. Now we reach the fourth, and perhaps one of the most dangerously underestimated sign that someone's hatred is escalating toward deadly intent, the pattern of deliberate escalation. Those who plan true harm almost never begin with overt violence. Instead, they slowly condition you to accept increasingly threatening behavior, step by subtle step. It's a calculated strategy, one designed to test your limits, erode your defenses, and groom you into normalizing what should never be tolerated. At first, the signs seem minor. A joke laced with violence. An offhand remark delivered with a smile, but a dark undertone. Phrases like, "I could snap, and no one would know," or "you'd be surprised what I'm capable of," get tossed out in casual conversation disguised as edgy humor or social awkwardness. But don't be fooled. These aren't careless slips. They are deliberate tests. The person is watching closely, studying how you react, assessing your fear, and probing for psychological openings. Consider a chilling case that has circulated in law enforcement circles for years. In 2017, a young man named Eric befriended a coworker named Jenna after they were placed on the same project team. At first, Eric seemed quirky, but harmless. He would make sarcastic remarks or joke about dark movies. Over time, those comments turned more pointed. He'd say things like, "I know exactly where you park. I could just wait for you in the dark one night." When Jenna nervously laughed, Eric would grin and say, "Relax, I'm kidding." Or am I slowly, other behaviors followed. He started appearing in places she never mentioned, a grocery store she rarely visited, the dog park at odd hours. He began standing uncomfortably close during conversations, brushing past her in hallways with no excuse. When she switched parking spaces, he somehow still found her car. And then came the final warning. A dead bird was left on her car windshield. No note, no explanation. When Jenna reported the incidents, some brushed it off as coincidence or workplace drama. But after installing a dash cam and documenting interactions, the truth came out. Eric had been tracking her movements for weeks, keeping notes in a journal marked steps to final act. Police intervened just in time to prevent a planned assault. What can we learn from this? That escalation is a process, one designed to condition you. What begins as verbal discomfort soon grows into physical intrusion, intimidation, and finally calculated threats. The aggressor uses each interaction to push boundaries further, gauging how much fear they can instill and how easily you'll dismiss it as just a joke. The Stoics were clear on this point. Vigilance is not paranoia. It is wisdom. Seneca once said, "He who is forewarned is forearmed." To live with clarity means anticipating evil, not with fear, but with readiness. If someone in your life habitually crosses lines and hides behind humor, if their words increasingly reference violence, if they invade your personal space or study your responses instead of genuinely engaging with you, this is not harmless eccentricity. It is a bright red warning. Ignoring such patterns could cost you dearly, not just your peace of mind, but your very safety. The most dangerous aggressors are not the ones who lash out suddenly. They are the ones who build toward harm in plain sight, while the world around them looks away. Stay aware. Stay prepared. Your life may depend on it. Sign 5. The patient predator. Now we come to the fifth, and by far the most chilling sign of all, the patient predator. This is not the person who flies into a rage, leaves angry messages, or behaves in a way that draws obvious suspicion. No, this is the coldest and most calculating kind of threat, the one who understands that time is the ultimate weapon. Their strength isn't aggression, it's restraint. They don't want quick revenge. They aren't seeking dramatic confrontations. Instead, they play what ancient Stoic philosophers might call the long game, a deliberate, methodical plan, carried out with precision and patience. These individuals can wait for months, sometimes years, while you unknowingly lower your defenses. By the time they move, you'll believe you're perfectly safe. And this is what makes them so terrifying. They seem completely normal. In fact, they often seem better than normal. They present as trustworthy, reliable, even caring. They ask about your upcoming plans not out of genuine interest, but to gather strategic information. When will you be alone? When will you be away? When will your usual safeguards no longer be in place? Every casual conversation is a subtle form of intelligence gathering. Every friendly favor they offer, every social bond they nurture, it's all part of a carefully woven net designed to keep you unsuspecting. They might be a coworker who's always dependable, a neighbor who kindly offers to watch your house while you're away, or even a longtime acquaintance who remembers every important date in your life. But beneath that polished exterior lies a cold, calculated intent. What makes this even more dangerous is that these predators are rarely sloppy. They don't make obvious mistakes. Instead, they wait for you to make one. The single moment when your guard drops, when your routine changes, when your usual network of support is thinner than usual. That's when they strike. And because they've carefully built your trust over time, you never saw it coming. The Stoics, especially Epictetus, warned us that what threatens us most is not what is obvious, but what we overlook. First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do, he taught. In other words, you must remain clear about your values and alert about the true nature of others, especially those who seem almost too perfect, too helpful, too eager to be close. When dealing with someone who wears a flawless mask, remember this: what you see is not reality. It's a crafted illusion. Their kindness is not warmth, it is bait. Their patience is not virtue, it is weaponized. So how do you protect yourself? Be cautious with deep trust, especially with those who rush into closeness without a clear reason. Guard your personal boundaries fiercely. Be mindful of what you share and when. You can still live with kindness, but never confuse kindness with giving away blind access to your life. The Stoic within you must remain awake, especially when everything seems calm. Because often, the greatest danger lurks when nothing appears wrong. Now, let's be brutally honest. If hearing these 5 signs brought a particular person to mind, do not ignore it. Don't talk yourself out of it. If you've recognized the patterns of the silent observer, the saboteur, the false friend, the escalating aggressor, or the patient predator in your life, you may be facing something far more dangerous than simple negativity. You could be in the sights of someone with deadly intent. So here's what I urge you to do. First, save this video. You may need to revisit these signs if your instincts begin whispering again in the future. And second, I strongly recommend watching the next video on identifying covert narcissists, because these 5 predatory tactics are often tied to some of the most manipulative personality types. Remember, Knowledge is your first shield, but decisive action is what will truly keep you safe. Stay vigilant, stay protected, and most of all, stay alive. Let's be real, if your gut has been warning you that something feels off, this video may have just confirmed a truth you didn't want to face, but absolutely needed to. These 5 signs aren't about stirring fear, they're about survival. Because someone who simply hates you might gossip or glare, but someone who truly wants you gone, they study, they manipulate, they escalate, they wait. That's not petty, that's predatory. So if one nice person popped into your mind as you listened, don't dismiss it. Your instincts exist for a reason. As the old wisdom says, the devil doesn't arrive with horns. He comes disguised as everything you once longed to trust. If this message hit close to home, take 2 actions right now. First, subscribe to this channel so you remain one step ahead of these dangers. And second, share this video with someone else who might be vulnerable, because knowledge can save a life. Sometimes not just your own, but someone else's too. Stay sharp, stay aware, and always remember, if they're truly planning your downfall, it isn't paranoia. It's your intuition trying to protect you. Trust it, and I'll see you in the next video.